as we move into Kentucky this week, obviously a team we're very familiar with the constant crossover, or let's call it constant, or whatever crossover game that you played every single year. So a lot of familiarities, always been really close, tough games with them. That seem to come down to the wire. You see the improvements they've made, and what Mark's done, trying to building the program right there. Off to a 3-3 start. They've found a way to win some close games this year, and they do it pretty good. They got a lot of size on defense, size up front. They got huge DBs with long, tall corners on the outside. To create matchup issues, hard to create matchups with them with the size that they have on the outside and the big guys to stop the run on the inside. So excellent defensive team. Offensively, great running game. They got a great running game. They run the ball very, very well. I knew the new quarterback playing for him. He has a little bit of a dynamic edge. I think he throws the ball very, very well. Also has a little bit of a dynamic running game at the quarterback, which you have to account for, not just within the running game, but also account for on the extending plays and keeping plays alive. So going to be a great challenge for our guys. We're going to have to come out and make plays. Play hard. We've been playing. Guys are learning to play hard. I see guys learning to play harder every single week out there. I see guys make some great plays, and then I see us make some bad plays. And so, we got to continue our consistency.
Questions? Mike?
How do you go about refocusing after the tough loss, long trip after BYU?
I don't know that the focusing is going to be a tough issue. I think I'm excited to get back out there. I love that. When you face a little bit of adversity, it kind of tests your character, and but it can really pull a team closer together. So we haven't practiced since the game. We'll see how it pulls us together out on the practice field today. But stuff like that actually can help pull the team closer together at times. They really tighten up, come together, and hopefully that happens for us out there on the practice field this week.
Coach, you talk about it, obviously, with Brandon out this past weekend, and Aries getting the most carries he's had in his career. When you look back on film, obviously the fumble exchange wasn't probably something that pleased you, but what did you think about the run game at BYU?
Well, I think we went into the game wanting to run the ball. We wanted to make sure we ran the ball in that environment on the road, and maybe I was almost stubborn running the ball because I told our guys we were going to run the ball. We were going to be physical, almost point of stubborn. So, we had the backs. I think both Aries, Shumpert, they both ran the ball hard in there. And I thought, I thought at times we ran the ball well. At other times there's just some, certain decision making, whether it's a mistake up front on a scheme, whether it's a missed read or not trusting the read exactly. A lot of that comes with experience, and whether it's a quarterback running or, in decision making with the quarterbacks and the running back, read option, the ball comes out, I gave it, I pulled it, I thought he was pulling it, it's just guys that are getting reps together, doing those things. So hopefully, you see, one of the things we have to do is keep it, try not to make it too complicated. Obviously, we're never going to make it too easy because there's so many plays to run and so little time to run them in. But what we do is let those guys continue to build confidence in what they're doing and executing it at a higher level.
You had to do some shuffling on the offensive line. How do you think Michael Story did there at left guard? Do you have an update on Dion?
Yeah, I think Dion will be questionable for this week. I don't feel good about it with an ankle sprain. Obviously, it's a little bit easier at the O-line to come back from that position, but we don't feel great about him coming back this week. But, we'll see as the week goes on. The offensive lineman can sometimes play with that more than a skill position can. But Michael, I thought he did okay. Came in, I think he, it was okay. He handled the situation well, which that's an important thing to me. And now, you know what, he's gotten a little bit of experience on the road in a tough environment, in a close game, and so, you know, he's going to get, I mean, he'll get a lot more reps with the ones this week, so we'll see how he responds to it, and if he responds to it well, to take that job and start for us. You know, if not, we got to get the next guy ready. It's not just, you know, it's not just him. We got to have somebody else ready as well.
Coach, defensively, it looks like you guys really took a step forward. What did you see on film? What would be your assessment of defensive play?
Well, I think defensive overall, I thought we played physical. I thought we played hard. Obviously, you have to eliminate the really silly mistakes that we made. I think that really hurt us defensively in the game, and some of the silly penalties we had overshadowed some tremendous efforts on the defensive side of the ball. But you see some young guys starting to make plays and play a little bit better. Some older guys playing at the level that we expect them to play. I mean, you look at last week's game, they had one of the top running backs in America, and you know, I thought we held them pretty much better than anybody else has this whole season, and a lot of that's with the guys up front seven. So we're making strides there. I think getting, you know, Will Coleman got his first action, very limited of the season. Hopefully he can, you know, do a little bit more again this week and really kind of build himself into game shape, which would give us a little bit more depth up front, which would be much needed.
You touched on the running game a little bit, Arias Williams, getting the most carries he's had in his career. Seems with each game this year, he just seems to get getting better and figuring it out. What have you kind of seen from him the last couple of weeks of practice?
Well, I think that's it, you know, which is there's more than just here's the ball, go run with it, you know, in a college game. And a lot of guys in high school, here's the ball, go run with it. You know, it's reading the blocks, understanding the schemes, understanding what's going on. There's a lot of pass protection. You know, and I think it's him getting live reps, running the football, understanding the blocking schemes, understanding how plays will hit a little bit better. I think he's going to gain more and more confidence in doing that. The more reps you get, obviously, the mental part of the game within pass protections, you got to block as well. You know, not just pass protection, but run, block, and make sure your assignment's sound. And I think his experience is helping him take those steps forward.
You've had some of your better running games against Kentucky in the past. Is there any characteristics of those games of why you've had so much success on the ground?
Well, probably very player-driven. You know, I think Booby had a huge game against them. He was a pretty good player. And, you know, we had a pretty good O-line that year. Ballard had a big game. You know, I mean, we had Josh, a couple of years ago, had a big game. Now, he did some spectacular runs. I think some of those, if you look back when we've had big running games, all of them have included some big runs. You know, I mean, unless you're running the wishbone, you know, most of the time, you know, if you're gonna have a big running game, you're gonna have a couple big hits in there, and I think we've done that in the past, made some big plays against them, which has certainly helped.
How can the 2 days, usually you're footballing on the weekend, how can the 2 days away help this team rebound after a rough start, I guess?
Yeah, the tricky part is, I don't know, it's 2 days away, because I think we landed at 6:30 Saturday morning, so you know, the week before you had an 11 a.m. kick. I guess it's like playing a super early kick to get home, so you just get a little bit of rest. I don't know, I mean, I guess just physically you're going to get, I mean, you're buying an extra, I mean, a lot of our games are night games, so, you know, you're really just buying another 18 hours of physical rest. I think for the staff, because we were able to work, you know, you're able to work on Saturday and get some stuff wrapped up. We gave the guys off Sunday so that they could, you know, if they could kind of have it a little extended period of time and put us into a 4-day practice week. And practicing today gives you a little bit more time in preparation. So I think, but besides that, that's about all.
Without De'Rania Wilson, an experienced guy, you have some tall receivers that are not experienced. How do you go about creating that downfield presence?
Well, you got to do it with, we have a little more speed maybe out there. You got to do it with speed. The tough part with that is, you got to hit the throws. I think, we're taking as many shots down the field as we have in the past. When you're doing it with speed, it's all about timing a run away and making the throw. When you do it with size, sometimes there's a little more margin for error where you might not hit the home run, but the downfield throw, you got a big size advantage, size mismatch to go up and catch the ball. So I think you miss that aspect of it by not having the giant size receiver. But we just got to do a better job of making some of those big plays down the field.
And how important is that to have a deep threat?
Well, I think it keeps, obviously you want to keep people on balance and keep them off of you. You got to hit them to get them off of you. That's the one thing we've missed. I don't think we've decreased the number of shots we've taken down the field. I think we've decreased the efficiency of our shots down the field, and we got to hit a couple of those.
Coach, starting to see more of an impact from Keith Mixon. What are you seeing from him in practice?
Well, what we expected to see from him is an electric player with the ball in his hand. And again, like I said, you're starting to see him be a really good, much better route runner and develop in the throw game. And I think, not just him, but Malik Deer as well, are the two guys that have a certain skill set. And that makes it very dangerous, I guess, right? To quote the movie, right? Do my Liam Neeson. But the more they develop that skill set into being receivers, the more dangerous they can become. And I really think you've seen both of them take steps, in making some big catches, running routes. Malik on a huge third down last week. Keith running routes over the middle, catching the ball over the middle, the long touchdown the week before on a pass play, on a route play. Not just, jet sweeps and bubble screens and quick screens and motion in the backfield or reverses. The fact when they become dangerous in the passing game, which really makes them hard to defend. And I think they're both really taking steps in that direction.
We saw Dak kind of go through a similar learning curve as sophomore as Nick, and
Yeah.
Nick's had a little inconsistency throwing the ball, but what's that learning curve been like for him, for a guy running the option coming out of high school and having to move into the spread?
I think one of the things, and one of the things you got to be patient with is the guy that he's replacing from last year was pretty darn good. I think people are seeing that now at the next level of what he could do. And one of the things that you hear me saying, and people always ask, and it happened with Dak, is what do you want to see him do? And I always kept saying, make the unspectacular play. Get to the third and fourth read in the progression. Take what the defense gives you, checks it down, be accurate with throws. Not a spectacular play. I think one of the things, and that comes with time and development. You watch Nick, and you watch him, a 3rd and 18, scramble and dive and get a first down, break 2 tackles and dive into the end zone in overtime. You watch him make 4th down throws, in between defenders on a 3rd down throws. Make some spectacular plays. And you hit it, which is consistency at the quarterback position. And the consistency comes from time. And consistency, believe it or not, is to make the unspectacular play, which is to get, make sure I'm always on balance, to make an accurate throw, and not run around and make something crazy happen on your own and improvising. Just accurately making short throws, of increasing your completion percentage, making the right reads, not trying to force the ball into areas, trusting what you're seeing, and reading it all faster. And all of that comes with time. And, because you go watch him play, he makes some really big time plays out there. Nick made some big time plays during the course of that game. And then he makes, as a coach, some head scratchers, and they seem a little bit more like head scratchers because of the guy who was playing the year before. You know, the guy, you know, you're going from a guy that was a big-time fifth-year senior with 5 spring balls under his belt. You know, a guy that where Nick will be 3 years from now to a guy that's a rookie out there on the field. So, you know, we just got to keep working. We got to make sure we're keeping it, we're doing things he's going to do well. Try not to make it too complicated on him within the decision making, so he can, you know, become more confident in his decisions, make them faster, make them better, and play more consistently and efficiently.
You mentioned Deion's status, Brandon and Kevon in the week ahead.
Yeah, they're both. They're both questionable again this week. You know, on the training report today. I'm not feeling confident about having them back for this game. You never know, you know, I mean, how it goes. So, you know, we'll see with the trainers. I know we have a heck of a training staff. They work their tail off, and especially when you're talking about guys that are fifth-year players. You know, it's not the first time they've ever been injured, so they're going to deal with the injury. They're going to work at it. They're going to know how to rehab, get themselves ready, and we'll see if they're ready to go later in the week. But I'm not confident in either of them playing this week.
You mentioned Nick's completion percentage. How does he go about improving that, and what can you do to help him improve that?
One, you know, a lot of it is decision making, which is, you know, to me, the processing of information. You know, as I see something out there on the field, I know where I want to go with the ball. Hey, if read one and the progression's open, not real hard. Just make sure you have good fundamentals at your feet, throw the ball. It's read one's not open, read two, I got to get to 3. Can I reset my feet? How am I feeling with the pressure? I think you really watch a lot of shoulders down on quarterbacks is going to really judge some completion percentage. Is a big one. And the other one is learning how to make certain throws. You know, learning how to throw the ball, just the touch on the underneath throws, a little bit more catchable ball and changing arm angles to make those catchable. Those are all tough things for young players. To be honest with you, they're tough for college quarterbacks in general. And so, you know, it's reps, you know, and the one thing you can't get enough of is reps. And the more reps he gets, I think the more accurate it'll be. How do we help him? We, you know, as best we can within a play calling part of the scheme, to try to put him in a situation where, hey, read 1 and 2, you know, based off of our call, what we're expecting to see coverage-wise, that the ball should go to read 1 or 2 and not, you know, just depend that he can get all the way through read 3, 4, or 5 in a progression.
You talk about the reps. Does that include in the game as well? Because it seems like in recent games he may be a little high, a little low in the first quarter. As the game goes on, his accuracy particularly seems to increase. Does he get more confident?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just, again, on throws. I mean, you watch him first play of the game, I mean, zips a ball, perfect throw, perfect read down. You know, again, I think we helped him on that play because we were expecting a certain look, and we call play in a certain look to help him out that way. I think as the game, you get into the flow of a game, I think sometimes because once you've seen a coverage or a blitz 3 or 4 times, you have a better feeling of how it's all going to shake out and play out. But I don't know. I mean, just a lot of it's just trying to make sure we you know, he's got to work his tail off in his development, and we got to work hard to help him have success throughout that development with each stage that he goes through.
From the quarterbacks you've dealt with, when did they get to that stage of knowing the unspectacular play, reading the second and third, and knowing where to throw it?
I only ever had 2 hit that stage, to be honest with you, in college. I mean, where to me, it doesn't matter. Alex and Dak, really, it doesn't matter. You know, you can call stuff. I think confidence grows a lot of them. You know, you hear guys say the word, when the game slows down for them, that's when it hits. You know, when it just, you know, because it slows down, they just see things out there on the field and it's not moving very, you know, I guess, I mean, physics don't change. No one physically slows down out there. It's just in their brain as they see it. It's all, the information goes from your eyes to your brain to your leg or your arm. The faster that clicks, the more that you're gonna get it and be able to handle all of that progression. I mean, probably at least 2 to 3 years playing. You know, Alex Smith was probably the one that, to me, that I've coached in my career, that it was the fastest. I mean, I had him for 2 seasons for 3 years, and then by the middle of the second season, I mean, he'd come up and, you know, he'd think the game was going in slow motion.
Coach, dealing with like hostile environments like over in Provo, how does that prepare some of these younger guys for games like not only this weekend, but some of those tougher SEC road tests coming up in November?
Well, I think, you know, the more you do it, the more comfortable you are with it, you know, and I mean, you know, the benefit you have playing in the SEC is you probably, I would say you're playing in the most hostile environments in college football. Maybe in all of football. You know, I mean, when you go play some SEC road games, I mean, I've been involved in the NFL, but I don't know if, is it loud? I don't know if it can be louder or it can be more hostile. Then, you know, you're facing 100,000 fans on the road. So I think just the more you do it, the more comfortable you are. I don't think, you know, you look at the environment. I thought our guys handled the environment the other night spectacular. I mean, we didn't even use our silent cadence. I mean, the quarterback was able to use his cadence out there, which you know, we're not able to do it in a lot of road games. And the guys adjusted to that. Any adjustment we made, they handled it. And I think that just comes from experience and having to play in tough environments. The more you do it, the more comfortable you are with it. You know, especially at the key moments of the game. You know, it's when you feel the frenzy, when you feel the whole crowd. I mean, when you're on the road, it's tough, it's loud, but there's also, you know, that's constant. But then there's those moments where the crowd become a factor. And you just, you know, the more you do it, the more confident you are in that moment that it's not going to bother you.
I'm rounding a bit here, but the first 2 games you had 500 yards rushing, the last 4 about 600 yards rushing. What's kind of happened with the run game last couple of weeks?
Well, I don't think it's one thing or the other. One, there's game situations that you're in. It's the defenses you're playing, the style of defense that you're playing. I think those are bigger factors. And you know what? It's the big plays. The last 2 weeks, we have not hit explosive plays. And, you know, it's going to be hard to put up big numbers when you don't have explosive plays. You know, I mean, it's a challenge. Your numbers are going to suffer. I mean, I thought we ran the ball fairly well the other night. The numbers aren't spectacular or big because, you know, we didn't hit, I don't think we hit a run over, you know, a run play over 12 yards. I think we had a run longer on a scramble. I think Nick had some scrambles. But a run call, I don't know if we picked up more than 10, 12 yards on a running play, and that'll skew your numbers down. But I don't know if it's one thing you're putting your finger on, whether it be situation, whether it be not hitting the big play in the running game, and whether it be some of the defenses we've played some pretty good run defenses.
When you say explosive, does that kind of count for the pass game too? Does an explosive pass game help with the run as well?
I think it's everything. Well, I think one, explosive plays in general are going to help you put points on the board. It's hard to go execute 12-play drives consistently down the field, you know, because you're an error or 2 away from, you know, all of a sudden. I mean, you put a great drive together and you end up 1st and 20 with a holding penalty on play number 8 of the drive. That's tough to overcome at times, you know, consistently. And so, you know, I mean, if you look at most scoring drives, your percentage of scoring goes up significantly if you have a play of 12 yards or more. If you have 2 plays of 12 more, it goes up, it doubles again. Your percentage of chances, or your percentage of chance of scoring on that drive. And so, you know, whether it is in the run or the pass, you have to try to create explosive plays.
Good. All right.
Thanks, David.